Let's talk about the fight that you face every single day, the one that isn't out there in the world, but right here inside. It's UVS. You, a never-ending struggle, the battle of becoming who you're meant to be while dealing with the person you are today. See, you've got dreams, big dreams, and deep down, you know what you're capable of. But there's always that voice, that shadow inside of you whispering, not today or maybe tomorrow. This battle, it's real. It's relentless. It doesn't take a day off. And if you want to rise, if you want to break through, you have to decide who's going to win your potential or your excuses. You have to choose to put in the work, even when it's tough, to step out of your comfort zone, even when it's terrifying, to push through the pain and to keep going, even when you feel like you've got nothing left. Because that's what greatness demands. This isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. The war isn't about avoiding failure, but about learning from it, coming back stronger, and never giving up on yourself. You have to remind yourself every day that the only thing standing in your way is you. So, who's going to win? You or the version of you that's afraid to try? You or the comfort that's holding you back? Make no mistake, this is a struggle that doesn't end. But the victory you're after, it's worth it. So keep pushing, keep believing, and keep showing up. Because every step forward is a step toward becoming the person you know you were born to be. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Because right there, staring back at you, is your toughest opponent. It's not the people who doubt you, not the ones who criticize or try to hold you back. It's you. It's that part of you that clings to comfort, that whispers, take it easy, or maybe tomorrow. It's that version of you that fears failure so much it'd rather stay in the safe, predictable place you've known for years than risk stepping into something greater. But see, there's something you need to understand about this opponent. It knows you. It knows every weakness, every insecurity, every single doubt you try to hide. It's in your mind, feeding on every moment you hesitated, every time you walked away from a challenge, every moment you felt small or unsure. And it's ready, always ready, to remind you of those moments whenever you think of reaching for more. This opponent is relentless, but not because it wants to destroy you. No, it's there to test you, to force you to decide every single day who you're going to be. Now, here's the thing about facing this opponent. It's not a fight you win once. This is a battle that happens every morning when you wake up. When the alarm goes off and you're hit with that first thought, just a few more minutes, that's your opponent. When you think of going after something big, something you've never done, and a voice starts saying, "Are you sure you can handle it?" That's your opponent creeping in, trying to pull you back to what's comfortable. You want to grow? You want to break free of the limits you've set for yourself? Then you've got to know who you're fighting. You've got to be ready to stand up to that voice, to look it square in the face and say, "Not today." Because every time you back down, you let that voice win. But every time you push past it, even just a little, you weaken it. You take control. And that's where real strength comes from the constant, deliberate choice to not let the weaker version of you define who you are. Remember, this opponent doesn't want you to fail. It wants you to stay safe, to avoid discomfort, to avoid risk. But the truth is, the path to anything meaningful, anything lasting, requires risk. It requires discomfort. And that opponent in the mirror, it will test you, it will push you, and it will push you, and it will stand in your way until you show it that you're not backing down. So recognize who you're up against. Understand that the fight isn't out there somewhere, it's within you, in your thoughts, your habits, your beliefs. And every day, you get to choose, will you let that opponent keep you small, or will you rise, take the next step, and show that voice who's really in control? Because when you win the battle against yourself, there's nothing in this world that can stand in your way. Let's talk about what it really means to embrace the grind. Because if you're going after anything worth having, anything that'll mean something when you look back, it's going to demand more than just a little bit of effort. It's going to take sacrifice, resilience, and a level of commitment most people aren't willing to give. And that's the thing, the grind separates those who say they want something from those who actually go after it, no matter how hard, no matter how long. Every morning you get up, every time you choose to show up, that's the grind. It's putting in the hours when no one's watching. It's getting up when you're tired, when your body is telling you to stay in bed, when your mind is coming up with every excuse to take it easy. It's in those moments when you feel like you've hit your limit, and then you find a way to push just a little bit further. That's what it takes. And it's not glamorous. It's not the highlight reel. It's the sweat, the late nights, the early mornings, and the pain you go through to build something real. See, most people want results, but they don't want to do what's necessary to get them. They want the rewards, but they don't want the struggle. They see the success, but they don't see the hours behind the scenes, the setbacks, the failures, the moments when you wanted to quit but didn't. The grind isn't about feeling good every step of the way. It's about choosing to move forward even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, it's about doing the work consistently, even when you don't see the results yet, even when the finish line feels out of reach. You have to ask yourself, how much am I willing to give? Because if you're going to commit to the grind, then you have to be prepared for it to test you, to push you to your limits, and then some. You're going to face days when doubt creeps in, when the progress feels slow, when you're wondering if it's all worth it. That's the grind. It forces you to dig deep, to reach into places within yourself you didn't even know existed. And that's where growth happens. That's where you start to build a foundation that no one and nothing can shake. But here's the beauty of embracing the grind over time. It changes you. It builds something in you, discipline, patience, strength, because when you commit to the grind, you stop looking for shortcuts, for the easy way out. You realize that it's in the struggle, in the pushing forward every day, that you become the person you need to be to handle the success you're after. The grind is what prepares you for the heights you're trying to reach. It teaches you to stay steady when things get tough, to keep moving when the path isn't clear, and to trust the process, even when the results don't come as quickly as you'd like. So embrace it. Embrace the grind, because that's where real change happens. It's where the dreamers get separated from the doers, where the committed get separated from the comfortable. This path isn't supposed to be easy, but if you're willing to put in the work, to push through the discomfort, and to keep going when most people would quit, then you're already ahead. Because the grind is what molds you, what sharpens you, and what builds the resilience you're going to need to keep going, even after you've achieved what you set out to do. Embrace the grind, and there's nothing that can stop you. Every single day, you're faced with a choice, excuses or dreams. One leads to comfort, to safety, to the same old patterns and routines that keep you exactly where you are. The other, it requires risk, courage, and a commitment that doesn't quit when things get hard. If you want to live out your dreams, you have to start by realizing that excuses are the enemy. They're the quiet little lies you tell yourself to make it okay to hold back, to settle, to stop short of what you're truly capable of. And until you decide to defeat those excuses, your dreams will stay just that, dreams. Let's be real here. Excuses are easy. They come up when you're tired, when things don't go your way, when the path gets steep and the goal feels too far. They start as tiny thoughts whispering that you can do it later, that you deserve a break, that maybe you're not ready. But excuses grow. If you feed them, they'll build walls around your potential, and before you know it, they'll convince you to let go of the very things you once believed were possible. That's the nature of excuses. They're not just harmless thoughts, they're barriers you set up between you and your potential. But let me tell you something, your dreams are worth more than your comfort. They're worth the struggle, the sacrifice, the late nights and early mornings, the sweat and the tears. If you're serious about those dreams, then you have to start treating your excuses like the obstacles they are. You have to look them dead in the eye and say, not today, because every time you let an excuse win, you're putting your dreams on hold, letting them slip just a little further out of reach. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself saying, I'll start tomorrow, or I don't have time right now? Every excuse you make is a moment you could have spent pushing forward, making progress, getting one step closer to the life you want. And that's the truth of it. Time isn't the issue. Resources aren't the issue. It's about choosing your dreams over the easy way out every single time. Excuses will always be there waiting to see if you'll give in. But you have to want your dreams more than you want comfort. You have to be willing to go through the rough days, the setbacks, the challenges, because that's what separates those who achieve from those who settle. The ones who reach their dreams are the ones who refuse to let excuses define their lives. They're the ones who look at every excuse and choose to move past it, to do what's hard instead of what's easy. Now, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have moments where the excuses feel strong, where it seems easier to back down than to push forward. But in those moments, remind yourself why you started, why you set those dreams in your heart in the first place. Remind yourself that you are capable, that every step you take brings you closer, and that no excuse is stronger than your commitment to yourself. Defeating excuses is a habit. It's a muscle you have to build every single day. The more you do it, the stronger you get. And one day you'll look back and realize that every time you chose to push forward instead of holding back, you were building a life that looks exactly like the dreams you once had. You'll see that each time you defeated an excuse, you gave your dreams the space they needed to grow, to thrive, to become reality. So when the excuses come, and you need to decide who's in control. Will it be the comfort of staying the same or the fire of becoming who you're meant to be? Because your dreams, they're waiting for you, but they need you to show up, to be relentless, to leave every excuse in the dust. And when you do that, when you defeat the excuses and fight for your dreams, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Staying committed, it sounds simple, but anyone who's gone after something big, something life-changing, knows that commitment is the hardest thing to hold on to. It's easy to start. Beginnings are exciting. You're full of energy, vision, motivation, all geared up to make things happen. But there's a point in every journey where that initial excitement fades. The path gets rough, progress slows, and the obstacles start stacking up. That's when commitment is tested. Because in that moment, when everything feels like it's pushing against you, staying committed becomes a choice you have to make over and over again. Commitment isn't about how you feel on the good days. It's about what you decide to do when everything in you wants to stop. When every part of you is looking for a way out. When things are hard, when you're tired, when the results aren't showing up as quickly as you'd like, commitment is what keeps you moving. It's the quiet, stubborn resolve to keep showing up. Keep giving everything you've got. Even when you're running on empty. It's looking at every setback, every disappointment, and saying, this won't be the end of my story. Because here's the thing, commitment isn't flashy. It's not about one big dramatic moment of sacrifice. It's in the small decisions, the ones you make every day, every hour. It's waking up early to get after it when no one would fault you for sleeping in. It's putting in the extra work, the extra hours, the sweat, the focus, when it would be so much easier to relax, to take it easy. Commitment means saying yes to your dreams and no to every distraction, every excuse, every reason to quit. It's about betting on yourself, even when the odds look slim. You're going to have days where it feels like you're getting nowhere, where it seems like all the work you're putting in isn't adding up to anything. Those days are dangerous because that's when doubt starts creeping in, whispering that maybe this isn't for you, maybe you should try something else, something easier. But commitment is about ignoring that doubt, pushing through the voices that say it's not worth it. Because deep down, you know it is. You know that every step, every grind, every sacrifice is building something in you that nothing and no one can take away. Commitment transforms you. It builds resilience, focus, grit. It's not just about the goal at the end of the journey. It's about the person you become along the way. When you stay committed, you're proving to yourself that you can rely on you. You're teaching yourself that no matter what comes, you have the strength to keep going. You don't need motivation to drive you because you have something stronger, purpose. Purpose doesn't depend on mood or convenience. It digs in, holds on, and doesn't let go. And yes, it's going to be tough. You're going to have moments where giving up feels like the easiest option, where walking away looks like it'll take the weight off your shoulders. But that's the point where you dig in even deeper, because once you make it through those tough days, you'll realize they were just building your strength. Every challenge, every hard day is just another brick in the foundation of the person you're becoming. And when you look back, you'll know that it wasn't talent or luck or motivation that got you there. It was sheer, unbreakable commitment. So stay committed, not just when it's easy, not just when things are going well, but especially when it's hard, especially when the odds are against you, especially when everything in you is telling you to stop. Because that's the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't. The ones who make it are the ones who refuse to quit, who refuse to let setbacks define them, who refuse to walk away when the going gets tough. They stay. They fight. And in the end, they're the ones who get to see the victory because they were the ones who were committed enough to see it through. Facing your fears head on, that's where real courage lies. Fear has this way of creeping in, telling you to stay small, to play it safe, to avoid the things that challenge you. Fear doesn't want you to grow, it wants you to stay exactly where you are, comfortable and contained. But here's the thing, anything worth having in this life, anything that'll make you stronger, wiser, or better at all lies on the other side of fear. And if you're serious about reaching your potential, about living a life that's bold, full, and true, then you have to be willing to face those fears, not just once, but again and again. Fear shows up in different ways. It might be the fear of failing, the fear of being judged, or the fear of not being good enough. It's that sinking feeling that tells you to sit back, to blend in, to avoid taking risks. But the truth is, every time you give in to fear, you let a little piece of yourself slip away. You put your dreams on hold, you put your growth on pause, and you settle for less than you deserve. And after a while, fear becomes a habit, a comfortable cage that keeps you from reaching your true potential. But here's the question, are you going to let fear keep you in that cage? Or are you going to step out, even if it's terrifying? See, facing your fears isn't about pretending they don't exist. It's not about acting like you're invincible. It's about standing up to those fears, looking them straight in the eye, and deciding that they won't control you. It's about feeling the fear and choosing to move forward anyway. Because when you face your fears head on, you start to realize something powerful, that they're not as big as they seemed. The closer you get, the more you see that the fear was just a shadow, a trick of the mind, a barrier you built up over time. And once you break through that barrier, there's a freedom, a strength that you can't get any other way. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel exposed, vulnerable, maybe even embarrassed. But that discomfort, it's growth in disguise. Every time you step into the places that scare you, you're pushing your limits, expanding what you thought was possible. And with each step, you're proving to yourself that you are stronger than you realized. You start to build a resilience that no one can take away from you. Facing your fears head on becomes a habit, a way of life. It's no longer about avoiding what scares you. It's about seeking it out, knowing that each challenge, each moment of discomfort is building you into the person you're meant to be. Fear isn't there to destroy you. It's there to test you. It's a tool, a mirror, reflecting back to places in your life where you're meant to grow. So when that fear shows up, when it tries to pull you back, recognize it for what it is, a sign that you're on the edge of something big, something transformative. Fear is a signal that you're stepping into uncharted territory, that you're about to break through the limits you once set for yourself. Don't run from that feeling, lean into it. Embrace it. Because every time you do, you're taking a step toward the person you've always known you could be. Facing your fears isn't about conquering them once and for all. Fear is always going to be there, lurking in the background, waiting for the next opportunity to make you hesitate. But when you face it head on, you take away its power. You teach yourself that you are not defined by your fears, that they don't have the final say in your life. You're building a habit of courage, of resilience, a mindset that says, I may feel scared, but I won't be stopped. That's power. That's freedom. So the next time fear shows up, remember, it's not a roadblock, it's a gateway. Step up to it. Walk through it. Face it with everything you've got. Because the life you want, the dreams you're chasing, the person you're becoming, they're all waiting for you on the other side of that fear. And once you step through, you'll see that every risk, every challenge, every moment of courage was worth it. Because you're not just defeating your fears, you're defining who you are on your own terms, without limits. Learning from every setback, that's where real growth happens. Life isn't always going to go the way you planned, and success won't come in a straight line. There will be moments when things fall apart, when you don't hit the mark, when you give it your all and still come up short. That's life. But setbacks aren't failures unless you choose to see them that way. They're lessons, hard ones, but valuable. If you're willing to look beyond the disappointment, beyond the frustration, there's something powerful in every setback. There's wisdom that can only be earned through struggle, strength that can only be built by facing adversity. When you face a setback, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to frustration, blame, and self-doubt. That's the easy road. It's tempting to give up, to convince yourself that maybe this dream isn't for you, that maybe you're not cut out for it. But that path will only keep you stuck, repeating the same mistakes, avoiding the discomfort of growth. The other path, it's harder. It requires humility, honesty, and the willingness to look your setback square in the face and ask, what can I learn from this? That's where the real work begins. And that's the path that leads to greatness. Setbacks are not signs that you're on the wrong path. They're part of the journey, moments that test how badly you want it, how willing you are to adapt, adjust, and come back stronger. When you hit a wall, it's an opportunity to sharpen your focus, to refine your strategy, and to grow in ways you might not have imagined. Maybe you need to work on your discipline. Maybe you need more patience. Or maybe you need to learn to trust yourself. Each setback is a mirror, showing you the areas where you can grow, where you can improve. And when you embrace that, you turn every failure into fuel. Learning from a setback means taking ownership. It's about looking at what went wrong without excuses or blame and asking yourself what you could have done differently. It's about being honest with yourself, acknowledging where you fell short, and recognizing that even in failure, there's an opportunity to become better. This is where you build resilience, where you develop the strength to keep going even when things don't go your way. Because the truth is, setbacks don't define you, your response to them does. If you let them, they can become stepping stones, each one lifting you a little higher, bringing you a little closer to the person you're meant to be. When you face a setback, don't just brush it off. Dig deep, find the lesson. Ask yourself, what does this experience have to teach me? Maybe it's a lesson in patience, in perseverance, or in humility. Maybe it's a wake-up call that you need to change your approach. Whatever it is, don't waste it. Learn from it and carry that lesson forward. Because every time you do, you're building a foundation that's stronger, steadier, and more capable of withstanding the storms that life will throw your way. There's no such thing as a perfect path. The people you admire, the ones who've achieved greatness, they've all faced setbacks, disappointments, failures, but they didn't let those moments break them. They learned, they adapted, and they grew. That's what it means to be unstoppable. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about embracing it as part of the journey. It's about knowing that every setback is a setup for a comeback, a chance to rise up and prove to yourself that nothing, not even failure, can stop you. So don't fear setbacks. Expect them. See them as part of the process, as necessary steps on the road to success. And when they come, meet them with courage. Look for the lesson, learn it, and keep moving forward. Because each setback is not the end of the story. It's just one more chapter, one more tool in your arsenal, one more reason to keep pushing. And when you reach your goal, when you stand on the other side of every failure, every hard day, every setback, you'll know that you earned it. You'll know that you are stronger, wiser, and more resilient because you had the courage to learn from every setback and turn it into the fuel for your success. Redefining success now, that's the key to a fulfilled life. Too often, we're chasing an idea of success that wasn't even ours to begin with. We've been taught that success is about titles, money, status, the car you drive, the house you own. But those things are just the surface. They're symbols, not substance. Real success goes deeper than that. It's not something you can measure by a bank account balance or a shiny plaque on the wall. True success is about purpose, impact, fulfillment, and becoming who you were meant to be. Success should be defined by you and you alone. It's personal. What good is it to reach the top if the top doesn't mean anything to you? You could climb every rung on the ladder, you could get every award, every promotion, and still feel empty if what you're doing doesn't light a fire inside you. Real success is when your actions align with your values, when you're not just working for a paycheck, but for something bigger, something that gives your life meaning. Redefining success means shifting your focus from what the world says you should want to what you truly desire. This is about building a life that feels right on the inside, not one that just looks good on the outside. Redefining success requires courage because it means stepping off the well-worn path. It means questioning everything society says you should be and discovering who you really are. It's about finding joy in the journey, fulfillment in the process, not just the end result. When you start defining success by your own standards, you give yourself permission to grow, to take risks, to fail, to learn, to become. Because success is not a destination, it's a journey, and it's one you get to define every single day. Think about it. What would success look like if it wasn't about other people's opinions? Would it look like living a life of integrity, being true to yourself, or helping others in a way that leaves an impact? Would it be about peace of mind, knowing you're doing something meaningful, something that makes a difference? When you redefine success, you start seeing it everywhere, not just in the big milestones, but in the small everyday victories. It's in overcoming a challenge, in sticking to your principles, in choosing kindness and learning something new, in giving your best effort. That's real success. And it's something that can't be taken from you no matter what. Redefining success also means understanding that it's not about competition. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about focusing on your own path, your own growth, your own purpose. When you're secure in your definition of success, you stop comparing yourself to others. You realize that someone else's success doesn't take away from your own. Instead, it reminds you that there are many paths to greatness and yours is unique. You start seeing that success isn't a race, it's a marathon. It's about endurance, persistence, and consistency. And let's be real, there will be setbacks. There will be times when things don't go as planned, but those moments don't define your success. How you respond to them does. Success isn't about never falling, it's about rising every time you do. It's about resilience, grit, and the determination to keep moving forward no matter what. When you redefine success on your own terms, you start seeing those challenges as part of the journey, as stepping stones that make you stronger, wiser, better. Redefining success gives you the power to focus on what matters. It means you're not distracted by every shiny object or every opinion. You're not trying to live someone else's life, you're building your own. You're following a path that resonates with your soul. A path that brings out the best in you. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. You're no longer motivated by fear or approval, you're driven by purpose. You're not chasing success, you're creating it from the inside out. Success isn't about the applause or the accolades, it's about peace. It's about waking up every day knowing that you're doing something that matters to you. It's about looking in the mirror and feeling proud of the person staring back at you, knowing that you're living a life true to who you are. Because when you redefine success, you free yourself from the weight of expectations. You stop living for others and start living for yourself. And that's when you start to find real, lasting fulfillment. So don't let anyone else tell you what success looks like. Don't let society dictate what your life should be. Define it for yourself. Make it personal. Make it meaningful. Make it yours. Because real success is more than a destination. It's the life you build, the legacy you leave, and the person you become along the way. Silencing that negative voice inside is one of the greatest battles you'll ever fight, but it's a battle worth winning. That voice, the one that creeps in when you're alone, when you're tired, when things aren't going your way, it knows all your doubts, all your insecurities, and it knows exactly when to strike. It's that voice that tells you you're not good enough, you're going to fail, or why even try? It's relentless, persistent, and sometimes it feels louder than anything else. But here's the truth, that voice is a liar. It's a thief trying to rob you of your potential, your confidence, your peace. And if you want to reach new heights, if you want to live a life that's bold and full, You have to learn how to silence it. That negative voice feeds on your fears and doubts. It gets stronger every time you give into it, every time you let it hold you back. But the moment you start challenging it, the moment you start pushing back, it begins to lose its power. Silencing that voice doesn't mean pretending it doesn't exist. It means standing up to it. It means refusing to let it control your decisions, refusing to let it dictate how you feel about yourself. It's about recognizing that voice for what it is, a barrier between you and the life you want to live, and breaking it down piece by piece. How do you silence that voice? You replace it with truth. You remind yourself of who you are, what you've been through, and what you're capable of. Think of all the times you've pushed through when things were tough, the times you proved to yourself that you were stronger than you thought. That's the voice you need to listen to. Every time the negative voice whispers, you answer back. Watch me every time it says, you're not enough. You remind yourself of all the battles you've fought and won, all the obstacles you've overcome. You give yourself credit for the resilience, the grit, the fire inside that's brought you this far. Silencing the negative voice is also about choosing what you allow into your mind. Surround yourself with positivity, with people who lift you up, with ideas that inspire you. Feed your mind with things that strengthen you, things that remind you of your worth and potential. When you make a habit of filling your mind with positivity, the negative voice has less room to sneak in. You start to build a mental environment where doubt and fear can't thrive, where confidence and courage take root. And when that voice comes back, and will you stay ready? You don't let it catch you off guard. You recognize it for what it is, just noise, just a shadow. And you don't let it dictate your path. You acknowledge it, and then you move forward anyway. You show yourself time and time again that you are stronger than any fear, more capable than any doubt. Because that's how you silence the negative voice, not by running from it, but by confronting it with action, with resilience, with a refusal to let it win. This journey of silencing the negative voice is ongoing. It's not something you do once and then it's over. That voice will keep coming back, trying to catch you in moments of weakness. But every time it does, you get another chance to prove yourself. Every time it shows up, it's an opportunity to reinforce your strength, to solidify your belief in yourself. You become stronger with every encounter. And over time, that voice loses its power. It becomes a distant echo, a reminder of who you used to be, not who you are now. So remember, the negative voice is not the truth. It's just noise, static, a distraction from the greatness that's in you. And the more you silence it, the more you make room for the voice that says, I can, I will, I am enough. That's the voice that deserves your attention. That's the voice that'll lead you to places you never imagined, to heights you never thought possible. Embrace that voice. Make it your guide. Because the life you want, the person you're meant to be, is waiting on the other side of silence. Silence the negative and let your true voice speak. Breaking through comfort zones, that's where real transformation begins. Comfort zones feel safe, they feel familiar. They're the places where we know the rules, where we don't have to stretch too far or risk too much. But staying in your comfort zone means settling for a life that's predictable, that's limited, that's only a fraction of what it could be. If you want more out of life, if you want to grow, to excel, to discover what you're truly capable of, you have to break through those comfort zones, no matter how unsettling it might feel. Stepping out of your comfort zone is about challenging yourself, choosing to do things that make you uncomfortable, that test you, that even scare you a little. It's about taking risks, not reckless ones, but calculated, purposeful risks that have the power to expand your life in ways you can't yet imagine. Yes, it's scary, but that fear, that's a sign you're on the right track. Fear is a signal that you're stretching, that you're reaching beyond what you've known, that you're about to discover something new about yourself. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the moments when you're uncertain, when you're challenged, when you're forced to dig deeper than you ever have before. Think about it, every great accomplishment, every personal breakthrough, every story of resilience or triumph, none of it happened because someone stayed comfortable. They happened because someone was willing to push themselves, to take on challenges, to face struggles head on. That's what breaking through a comfort zone is all about. It's about saying, I know this is hard, I know it's uncomfortable, but I also know it's necessary. When you break through comfort zones, you begin to understand what you're made of. You learn that you're stronger, braver, more capable than you thought. You start to see that the limits you once believed in were just illusions, just walls you built out of fear or doubt. And with each step you take outside of that zone, those walls start to crumble. You find new strength, new skills, new resilience. You become a version of yourself you didn't know existed. And once you've tasted that growth, you realize you can't go back. You won't want to. Comfort becomes too small for you. You start craving the challenge, the uncertainty, the opportunity to become more. Breaking through comfort zones isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle, a mindset. It's about constantly looking for the next thing that'll stretch you, that'll make you a little uncomfortable, that'll keep you moving forward. Because every time you face something new, you build momentum. You teach yourself that you can handle the unknown, that you can adapt, that you can overcome. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. You start to trust yourself more. You begin to welcome the discomfort because you know that it's the price of progress, the fuel for your journey. There will be moments of doubt. There will be times when you want to retreat, to step back into what feels familiar and safe. But in those moments, remind yourself that growth only happens on the other side of discomfort. The life you want, the goals you have, they're not going to come from staying where you are. They're waiting for you on the other side, just beyond the edges of what you know. And the only way to get there is to take that step, to push yourself a little further, to keep breaking through those boundaries. Breaking through comfort zones means you stop settling. You stop accepting less than you deserve. You stop living a life that's good enough and start reaching for something extraordinary. You begin to understand that you don't have to live within the limits you set for yourself years ago or the ones other people tried to impose on you. You're free to grow, to evolve, to become whoever you choose to be. And every time you step out of your comfort zone, you're telling yourself, I am capable of more. So don't let comfort hold you back. Don't let fear keep you from your potential. Use that fear as fuel. Let it remind you that there's more waiting for you, more to see, more to experience, more to accomplish. Break through those zones and step into the unknown, because that's where life gets interesting. That's where you find the person you've always had inside, just waiting for the chance to shine. And once you make it a habit to keep pushing, there's no limit to where you can go. Choosing yourself every day is the ultimate act of self-love and empowerment. It's a commitment, a promise to prioritize your own dreams, your own well-being, and your own journey above everything else. Life will throw challenges your way. It will test your resolve, your courage, and your dedication to yourself. But in those moments of doubt, in the times when you feel tempted to conform or compromise, that's when the real decision comes into play. Will you choose yourself, or will you allow the noise of the world to drown out your own voice? Every day is an opportunity to assert your worth, to stand firm in your values, and to decide that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. This isn't about being selfish, it's about being self-full. When you choose yourself, you give yourself the permission to pursue your passions, to chase your dreams, and to take risks that resonate with who you truly are. You realize that you have the power to create your own path, to build a life that's aligned with your values, desires, and aspirations. Choosing yourself means letting go of the need for validation from others. It means breaking free from the chains of comparison and social pressure. Society will always have its expectations. It will always have its idea of what success looks like, how you should live your life. But when you choose yourself, you say, no more you define your own success on your own terms. You become the architect of your own life, and you stop letting anyone else's opinion dictate your choices. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice to embrace who you are and to honor your journey. This choice requires you to look in the mirror and affirm your worth. It's about recognizing that you are enough just as you are, and that you have the right to pursue what fulfills you. It's not about waiting for someone else to give you permission or to validate your dreams. It's about realizing that the most important voice you need to listen to is your own. Choosing yourself means setting boundaries. It's about saying no to things that don't serve you, to relationships that drain your energy, and to situations that don't align with your values. It's about protecting your peace and prioritizing your happiness. This can be uncomfortable, and it can sometimes lead to conflict, but remember, every time you choose yourself, you reinforce the message that your needs and desires are valid. You teach others how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. Choosing yourself also means being courageous enough to embrace your imperfections. It's about accepting that you're a work in progress, that you don't have to have it all figured out right now. Every misstep, every setback is part of your growth story. And instead of beating yourself up over your mistakes, you learn from them. You see them as stepping stones to becoming the person you aspire to be. The journey is messy, and that's okay. Choosing yourself means giving yourself grace, patience, and understanding as you navigate the ups and downs of life. When you choose yourself every day, you also become a beacon for others. Your commitment to your own growth and happiness inspires those around you. You show them that it's possible to live authentically, to pursue passions unapologetically, and to chase dreams relentlessly. You create a ripple effect, encouraging others to recognize their own worth and to choose themselves too. This collective empowerment builds a community of strength, resilience, and authenticity, where everyone feels empowered to be their true selves. Choosing yourself means celebrating your victories, no matter how small. It's about acknowledging your efforts, recognizing your progress, and taking time to appreciate the person you are becoming. Celebrate the little wins, the moments when you pushed through fear, when you stepped out of your comfort zone, when you chose to prioritize your needs. These moments add up and serve as reminders of your strength, determination, and ability to overcome. And as you make this choice a daily practice, remember that it's okay to stumble. It's okay to have days when you feel less than motivated, less than inspired. What matters is that you pick yourself back up and keep going. Choosing yourself doesn't mean perfection, it means persistence. It means showing up for yourself even when the going gets tough. It's a commitment to resilience, to self-discovery, and to a life lived authentically. Ultimately, choosing yourself every day is about embracing the journey. It's about understanding that life is not a race, but a process of growth and exploration. Each day is a new chance to learn, to evolve, and to define what happiness and success mean for you. So take a deep breath, remind yourself of your worth, and make that choice today and every day. Because you deserve it. You are deserving of love, happiness, and all the greatness that life has to offer. Choose yourself and watch how everything in your life begins to shift. You'll find strength you never knew you had, and doors you never thought possible will begin to open. That's the power of choosing yourself.